Ready to go.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is, can you hear me? Yep. My name is Rob Flack, and I really appreciate everyone joining us this morning. I'm the MPP for Elgin, Middlesex, London, and I know many, as we've met coming in, live in this riding, and we're very, very happy that you do and happy that you work here. Let me begin by thanking Transform Automotive Canada for hosting us here today for a very special announcement. We see lots of friends and folks outside that I know are going to be very excited about the news we have today. And I want to thank Premier Ford and Minister McNaughton for being here today as well to share this really good news story. Great things happen in southwestern Ontario, as I think everybody knows. Of late, we've announced the Volkswagen project, which is generational in nature. It's transformative, it's going to bring a lot of great jobs, and it's going to support businesses just like yours here. So we look forward to hearing from the Minister and the Premier in a few minutes. But first, I would like to introduce Flavio Volpe, the President of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers of Canada. He's here today. Please welcome him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MPP Flack. Thank you, Premier and Minister and the Mayor. And thank you, Transform. 4 years ago, I stood in a similar facility like this in one of the hundreds of parts manufacturers we represent in this province with the Premier with their Driving Prosperity Plan. And it was a humble plan. And a lot of questions I got from people like you said, how does this humble plan work in such a big province, in a big country, in a big challenge? And we said it starts with the people. And that Driving Prosperity Plan said if we're going to go chase big investments, we've got to train people for those new types of technologies and those new investments. And from that humble plan, you have accomplished, together with your partners in Ottawa, the greatest investment run in automotive history in this province. And it's so fitting that we're back here today with Minister McNaughton with this great program and these great announcements. So thank you on behalf of the industry. Thank you, Transform, for representing the industry so well. It's great to be here with everybody else today. Now I'm going to introduce to you one of our good friends, J.F. Champagne from AIA Canada, the other Mr. Champagne who hustles for the auto sector.
Well, good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. It's a great honor to be here this morning, and I'd like to first acknowledge my good colleague, Flavio Volpe from the APMA. Premier Ford, thank you, and Minister McNaughton for helping advancing the automotive sector in Ontario. And this is not just about the manufacturing sector for the automotive space in Ontario, but it's about the entire automotive industry. That includes the auto care sector. AIA Canada members in the province employs about 131,000 people in this province, and they play a critical role in ensuring that Ontarians continue to have access to cost-effective, timely, and safe repair and maintenance for their vehicles. And frankly, this is what it's all about. It's ensuring we continue to have in Ontario a vibrant manufacturing sector, as well as having the people and the skills needed to ensure that we'll be able to continue to service, maintain, and repair the vehicles of today and tomorrow. And so I'd like again to acknowledge Premier Ford and Mr. McNaughton for your commitment to the auto care sector, and we're looking forward to working with your government to advance skill trade in Ontario. Thank you. Oh yeah, and I guess I'd like to now also introduce the Mayor of London, Mayor Gordon, if you want to join us. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, and Premier and Ministers. It's always great to have you in London because whenever you come, you bring good news and great news. We're here in the southeast end of the city, which is home to not just this fantastic facility, but both the private and public industrial parks. And we recently updated our industrial land development strategy to take advantage of all of the great things happening in this city and in this region. And I have to say, just down the road from here, I need to thank the Premier and the province again for Maple Leaf Foods, which we all passed on our way in here, for the great investments in Metacom just north of here, for the investments that you're going to hear today, and the wonderful things that are happening. London is well positioned to take advantage of the growth that is happening in our province, and our industrial land development strategy is key to this. And it's key to the expansion of the automotive sector that is happening. We've had great announcements in the region with Volkswagen. We know there will be many spin-offs and many industries chasing that announcement from the supply chain perspective, and I want to say our city is well positioned to take advantage of these. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Minister Monte McNaughton to share a few words.
Thank you, Mayor Morgan. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here today. I also want to recognize that London's former mayor, Ed Holder, is joining us today. Ed, good to see you. It really is a pleasure to be here with Premier Ford, MPP Flack, and Flavio Volpe, as well as the President of AIA Canada, Mr. Champagne. It's no secret that Ontario is facing a historic labour shortage. Here in London and southwestern Ontario, it's the number one thing we hear about when we meet with businesses and shops along Main Street. Each of these unfilled jobs is a missed opportunity for someone to earn a paycheck and build a better life for themselves and their family. Now, there's no one in Ontario who works harder for workers every day than our Premier, Doug Ford. When he asked me how we could help prepare people for better jobs and bigger paychecks and tackle the labor shortage that threatens to hold back our economy, it was clear we needed to invest more in job training that matches workers' interests and skills with the good jobs we know are available in their communities. This is how we're putting people in the driver's seat of their careers and their lives. And in just 2 years, I'm proud to say that we've invested more than $700 million in our government skills development fund, which has launched nearly 600 projects to date to help more than 500,000 people in Ontario take the next step in their careers. Good jobs are coming back to southwestern Ontario and right across our province. Whether in healthcare, the skilled trades, the auto sector, or another in-demand industry, if you're willing to work, we need you. Our government will give you the hand up to a better life, because it's only by giving people a fair shot that we can turn their potential into a paycheck. And with that, I'm now honored to introduce Ontario's Premier to make an exciting and an important announcement about Ontario's auto workers. Premier, over to you.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone, and it's great to be here in London, and thank you, Minister McNaughton, for that introduction. It's always great, as I was saying, to see my old friend Mayor Holder and my new friend Mayor Morgan. You know, we've done some great things here in London over the last little while, and along with the mayors, Jean-François from the Automotive Industries Association of Canada, and Flavio Volpe from the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association, and all the representatives from our auto industry and post-secondary institutional joining us today. Before I get started, I wanted to give a big shout out to Flavio. Flavio has played such a critical role in helping Ontario become a world leader in the electric vehicle revolution. He's helped bring numerous companies here at all levels of government in cooperation, no matter if it's labor partners, industry leaders, Indigenous communities, to help secure game-changing investments into the auto sector. He continues to be a critical part of discussions as we work to secure all of the progress, building our electric vehicle and battery supply chain from start to finish. Thank you, Flavio, for doing so much for our province and our country. Thank you. I also want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to Mel, Chris, and Norm, and the entire team at Transform Automotive for us hosting us today. And I'll tell you, folks, nothing happens at any of these plants I visit without the frontline people working their backs off, making the parts, part of the supply chain that goes into the auto manufacturers' plants. And so I just want to thank each and every one of you. And that's what I love. I love the frontline workers. As Premier, nothing brings me more joy than walking the floor of auto plants. That's what I've done my whole life in our company, and seeing the pride on the faces of workers, the pride that comes from a hard day's work the pride that comes from making things happen and making parts right here in Ontario. Again, I want to thank all of you. Working with workers, great companies like Transform and industry partners like APMA and AIA Canada, we're putting Ontario's auto sector back on the map. We're building an electric vehicle supply chain, connecting critical minerals in Northern Ontario and clean steel makers in Hamilton and Sault Ste. Marie to automakers and battery and auto part manufacturers right across this province. Because the future is electric and we're leading the charge. Over the past 2.5 years, we've attracted over $25 billion in the auto and EV battery investment, including, most recently, Volkswagen's $7 billion investment to build its first overseas EV battery manufacturing facility here in St. Thomas. These are game-changing investments, are creating new jobs, better paychecks across the auto supply chain and driving economic growth. You know, folks, when we compete, our number one selling feature are the talent of the people, the talent like folks like yourself, along with our colleges and universities. That is critical. That's our number one selling feature when we're selling Ontario to the world. But as we continue to attract investments, the biggest concern I hear from business owners across all sectors, right across every part of our province, is not being able to find enough workers. The numbers speak for themselves. These are staggering numbers. When we took office back in 2018, in the previous government, the Liberals chased 300,000 jobs out of the province, including a massive amount of auto companies and auto part manufacturers. Move forward today because of the great quality of people here and the collaboration between the municipalities and the provincial and federal government. There's 670,000 more people. That's 670,000 more people are working today that are bringing home a paycheck, that are able to buy a home, pay a mortgage, put food on their table, and do stuff they might otherwise not be able to do. Then you just go back to 2018. There's a big difference. That is amazing, and I want to thank everyone that contributed to that. But there's still about 380,000 jobs unfilled every day. When was the last time you could remember in Ontario we were short 380,000 people to fill the job gap right now? Because by 2026, 1 in 5 job openings in Ontario will be in skilled trades. These are rewarding, good-paying jobs. These are manufacturing jobs in plants like this one. These are the jobs to build the highways, transit, schools, hospitals, and new homes our growing province needs. These are the jobs that will build Ontario. That's why our government is investing over $1.5 billion, with a B, billion dollars in our skilled trade strategy, working hand in hand with labor unions, industry associations, and our schools, colleges, and universities to train the skilled workforce our economy needs. Whether it's upskilling workers, training new ones, or breaking down barriers to get more skilled immigrants into the province, we're leaving no stone unturned. It's all hands on deck. And so today, as part of our Skills Development Fund, we're pleased to announce $4.7 million in new funding to train more people for good-paying jobs in the auto sector. This investment will support a new job placement program led by the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association to provide people with hands-on training focused on manufacturing basics, health and safety, and other critical skills. The second project, led by the Automotive Industries Association, will provide workers with classroom and shop training to get the skills they need to transition and launch their careers in the electric vehicle industry. This new funding, these new programs will provide more women and men of all ages opportunities for good-paying, in-demand jobs and rewarding careers in the auto industry. It will also help companies attract and retain workers they need to grow and expand. And it will help our province create a bigger pipeline of talent so we can continue to have the best workforce in the entire world to keep attracting investments and build Ontario. Friends, as we continue to navigate global uncertainty, our government is hard at work building an economy that can weather any storm, any economy that never loses sight of what's most important, helping people succeed, helping workers succeed. That starts with creating the economic conditions that attract investments and growth and good jobs. Folks, let me tell you, we have cut $8 billion of burden off the backs of companies to make sure we're competitive against our friends south of the border or over in Asia or over in Europe and create a climate and the conditions for companies to come here. And when companies thrive, prosper, and grow, so do the people that work there thrive, prosper, and grow. It gives them certainty that they're going to have a job and a paycheck. We have the right plan to build Ontario. We're making electricity more affordable. We're keeping taxes and fees low. We're cutting red tape. We're investing in transit, roads, and highways to keep people and goods moving. And we're training the skilled workforce that companies need to grow and expand. Thank you all for joining us, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now take questions. Just a reminder, there's one question, one follow-up.
Morning, Premier.
Good morning.
Obviously, as a London reporter, lots of people in London are happy to see you here again with positive news for this region again and for the broader Ontario. But obviously, the last time you were here, your Minister, Mr. Fedeli, mentioned there would be substantial funding for infrastructure in regards to helping out those that are in this plant and others get to and from work, not to mention the substantial growth that you speak of, housing, hospitals, and such. How committed are you to southwestern Ontario in terms of whatever it takes funding to give us what the GTA has in transit, roads, and such? For example, Highbury, which this plant connects to the Volkswagen plant, is not a twin highway. It's a dual-lane road that has multiple accidents and fatalities. Are you ready to do whatever it takes to build transportation specifically here in London and southwestern Ontario?
Well, first of all, thanks so much for that question. Right off the hop, talk about southwestern Ontario. When we saw government after government fail about twinning Highway 3, we're twinning Highway 3. We're going to make sure that we put the infrastructure in to support this community on top of Volkswagen in St. Thomas down the road. That's all part of the program. When we come into a town, a company, the province, the municipality, we make sure we bring in the proper energy, the electricity that is needed, not just for that facility, but for homes and residential units right across this area. On top of that, on all the part manufacturers that are going to open up here as well. And we're going to make sure that we have the infrastructure, no matter if it's the schools or the hospitals or the fire department that we're putting in as well, and making sure we twin the roads, because you can't have a massive auto part manufacturer like Transform or a company like Volkswagen and not have proper roads. So we're committed to building the roads, and that was part of the deal, by the way, with Volkswagen. But thanks for that question.
All right, as a follow-up, Premier, I'd ask you for an update from my colleagues at CTV Windsor. Where are things standing with the Stellantis situation as it stands this morning? I'm sure you've been briefed recently. Where do we stand?
Well, we're waiting for the federal government to finish off the deal. As you know, we put in our fair share. Now we're stepping up again to put more money because it's all about the people. It's all about making sure they have the jobs down in Windsor region and right across southwestern Ontario. Let me tell you, you were asking about southwestern Ontario. Very few parts of this province have shown more. We've shown more love to than southwestern Ontario. And you're talking Windsor specifically, no matter if it's a new hospital or the 2 new schools or the bridge that we're building or the roads that we're building or the off-ramps that we're building. And, of course, the investment with Volkswagen, that people in this region will be working at Volkswagen. There's going to be 30,000 spin-off jobs. When I went to Volkswagen before, you could literally shoot a cannon down the streets of St. Thomas and not hit anyone. They need economic development. They need growth. So again, there's no region in this province that's had more investment from this province, from our government than the southwestern region, and it has a lot to do with the auto companies.
Good morning, Premier Ford. Ontario has committed more money to make the Stellantis deal happen, is pushing the feds for that as well. You yourself have mentioned there'll be lots of spin-off jobs and other companies coming to the area. does this payout, does this capitulating to Stellantis, putting up more money than you'd originally offered, send a really bad precedent to these other companies looking to locate here for the Volkswagen deal?
No, it doesn't at all. It creates economic development. Again, you know, you've been down to Windsor before if you want to talk about Stellantis. That town, before we took office, was hurting. It's no different than St. Thomas. You could shoot a cannon down the streets of Windsor and not hit anyone. People in St. Thomas remember when they had 5,000 jobs walk away from St. Thomas. And what were those 5,000 people doing? They were struggling. They weren't paying their mortgage. We're bringing economic growth, unprecedented economic growth to Ontario. It's the fastest growing region in North America, bar none. And we're going to continue attracting more companies here.
Your government has been pretty supportive of consumption and treatment sites in Ontario, including one here in London. You know, the Conservative Party, though, as of late, has really taken aim at harm reduction and safe supply in Canada. I just wanted to know, is the position of the CPC incorrect?
Well, I'll tell you what they need. They need rehab centers, and we're there to support them. We need to build more beds until the heads can go into the beds and get themselves better. You know, I understand that situation. But you need to support these people, get them back on their feet, get them a good paying job, and get their life moving forward. It's a real challenge, and I'll just have to tell you, the City of London received about 63% increase in funding, up from $13.3 million to $21.88 million for homeless, and then they eliminated the development charges on not-for-profit housing. That's why I'm always preaching that the cities need to take not-for-profit housing, the DCs, and not charge them, because that makes it affordable for someone that's struggling to have a home and a roof over their heads.
Okay, this will be the last question.
Morning, Premier. From Queen's Park CBC Bureau.
Hi.
What's your reaction to potentially facing Bonnie Crombie in the next election?
Well, my first reaction is, what took you so long? She's been campaigning for 5 years. My second reaction is, bring it on. That's simple as that. You can't be running for mayor or being mayor and running for a leader. Like, you know, you can't put your butt on both sides of the fence. You know, what's happening, we're making the largest change in the history of Mississauga and Peel. And this is all about Bonnie Crombie's political, agenda. It's not about the people of Mississauga. I'm going to take care of the people of Mississauga, and Bonnie's going to be running around the province not worrying about the people of Mississauga. In my opinion, it's a real slap in the face to the residents there. I'll always be there working for the folks there, and rather than Bonnie running around, let's get on with the show, run for leader, and let's make this thing happen. Because people do not want to go back to the Liberal era of losing 300,000 jobs, not building homes. And by the way, Mississauga, with a population of 800,000 people, they only built 2,100 homes. That's unacceptable, because there's a logjam at Mississauga. I think the best thing to do, she runs against me and we get a new mayor in Mississauga. That's my opinion.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.